Well, you have those people that are out there missing. They're alone out there. And then you have those that are taken. And that's what this show's about. To be honest, we need to start caring. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's not about who is who. Everybody matters out there. The missing are a huge diversity of people. They're young, they're old, they're mothers, they're fathers, they're children.
Hello guys, welcome to Talking News. Please subscribe, hit like, don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want notifications whenever I have a new upload. And guys, I realized that we already did a short kind of get to know the girl and what the media is saying on Kristin Smart. But I have done some extensive research here, and I want to share something that I learned. And I think there's a possibility that there might be some new information coming out on this case. So Kristin Smart was from Stockton, California, a native who graduated from Lincoln High School. According to people that knew her, said that she had big dreams, goals, and was said to have a bright future ahead of her. Her mom, Denise Smart, and her dad, Stan Smart, sister Lindsay Smart, and her brother said that she was outgoing and adventurous, and her sister Lindsay said that she was a leader and not a follower. Denise said that her daughter Kristin was our family's adventure seeker. After Kristin graduated, Kristin Smart enrolled into college in the fall of 1995 at Cal Poly in California. According to her mother, Kristin was very interested in architecture. She was about to complete her freshman year in May of 1996. But on a 3-day Memorial Weekend, May 25th of 1996, Kristin told her mother that she was going to go out that night. And what we heard is she attended a party. According to her mother, Kristin was the type of girl that would keep in contact with them on the weekends, so especially on Sundays. But Kristin apparently had left her a message saying that she had good news and that she would call her later. According to witnesses, they said that Kristin did attend a dorm party, and they ended up finding her around 2 or 2:30 a.m. that morning, just kind of passed out on a neighbor's lawn. And according to a few sources, Cheryl Anderson and Tim Davis both had left the party, and they ran upon Smart on the lawn. They said that they held Smart to her feet and decided to walk her back to her nearby dormitory. Then we hear that there was another student from the party by the name of Paul Flores who joined their group and offered to help the two return Smart to her dorm room. So Davis departed the group first since he lived off campus and had driven to the party. Anderson was the second to depart the group after she told Flores that he could walk Kristin back up to her room. The reasoning for this is because he lived closer to her dorm than she did. It is said that Paul Flores was the one that actually walked Smart up to his dormitory. And this is because he supposedly lived closer to Kristin's dorm. So the block that he lived in was the Santa Lucia Hall. And according to Paul, he said he allowed Kristin to walk back to her area, which is called the Murr Hall dorm, alone and by herself. And according to witnesses, this happened approximately around 2 and 2:30, early the 26th. And this was the last time that Kristin Smart was seen. And allegedly, she was walking with Paul Flores. Now, I want to remind you that Paul Flores did admit that he was last to see her as far as he knew. Kristin Smart was no little woman. She was 6'1". She was a very tall, very athletic blonde. She was said to disappear on May 25th, 1996 at just the age 19. And this was in San Luis Obispo, California, and this is in the USA. So we're in the year 2020, and Kristin Smart has been missing nearly 24 years now, and no one has seen or heard from her. And knowing what this family has been through, trying to just find answers of what happened to their loved one has been devastating. So at the beginning, the college campus police didn't treat this case the way that they should have, because they thought perhaps Kristin Smart was just off on a mini vacation, because they claimed that a lot of college students do this. And the problem with that theory is they didn't even investigate it. They treated it as, well, we see this all the time, so this probably happened to her. But even after her parents made it very clear that she's not the type to just run off without communicating, especially when they waited on her call Sunday, that call never come, and they thought maybe on the weekend, she's running a little bit late, she'll call Monday. She never called Monday. So the parents had to pretty much beg with those college campus police and tell them, this isn't like her, that's not in her character to do something like this. It was a struggle for Kristin's parents, because they had to actually drive down there, which her father did, and ask for them to post flyers and to try to get some kind of information about their daughter. So like I mentioned earlier, they did have those witnesses come forward. Paul Flores is the main witness, or the person of interest. And when the Obispo police finally picked the case up, they bring Paul Flores in for questioning. And they noticed that Paul Flores had a recent injury, one being black eye and scratches. Police asked him, how did he acquire these injuries? He explains that he had a pickup game of basketball, and that's how he acquired the black eye. But detectives go and speak to the people he played basketball with, and they said that when he showed up, he had already had the black eye and the scratches. So police bring him in to question him and kind of confront him about the lies that they caught on to.
Injuries.
How do we know that everything that you've told us so far isn't really the truth? How do we know now that you lied for us?
Well, that wasn't important, though.
Sure it is. That's important.
So you can watch him in that video and see that he's very nervous. And of course he is. He just got confronted with a lie, and he tries to distract them somewhat. I really didn't think that was important. They find out. He attempts to tell them that he had actually hit his eye on a steering wheel and while putting a radio in his truck. So this makes police start to doubt him, because, he's lying. Why would you lie about a black eye? There's no reason to. I wanted to show you guys one more clip real quick, and this is where he's explaining his account of the walk to the dorm.
To where the driveway was, and I went up to my dorm because the walkway goes that way towards my dorm, and then she started walking that way.
So at the beginning, he's cooperating with police, but it's later on that Paul Flores decides he's no longer going to cooperate with police. He gets an attorney, and this is because there are some other things going on with Paul Flores that makes you say, About a year later, 1997, Paul Flores, he has a lawsuit against him brought on by the Smarts, I want you to watch this video right here where he uses and manipulates the Fifth Amendment, refusing to cooperate.
Interfere with your ability to give clear and accurate testimony today?
Yeah, I refuse to answer that question.
What documents you have reviewed in preparation for your deposition testimony here today?
I refuse to answer that question.
Have you reviewed certain documents in preparation for your deposition testimony here today?
Attorney, I refuse to answer that question.
You reported your Nissan truck stolen in San Diego recently, is that correct?
Yeah, I refuse to answer that question.
Did you report your 85 Nissan truck stolen in San Diego recently?
Yeah, I refuse to answer that question.
In May of 9.
So Flores refused to answer questions. He manipulated the Fifth Amendment. He pretty much mutilated that thing, even with questions that were pointed or geared before Kristin Smart went missing. It made no sense. He just was not cooperating whatsoever. This might be because the only hit the Cadaver dogs got, and it was a big hit, was at Paul Flores' dorm room. And when a dog hits a scent like that, they're hitting on the smell of death, decomposition. Paul had a roommate, but Paul knows that his roommate wasn't going to be there that weekend. Paul had a black eye and scratches. But it's later on, some of the evidence that we find out that really connect to this story. Connect Paul to the story. The Smart family had gotten a call that the Obispo police were going to take over this case. They were happy about that. But at the same time, they were getting all this information and then finding out that Paul was just uncooperative. He was not wanting to work with anybody. He was lying. It just didn't look good. And the time, the clock, everything's ticking away, and still there is no Kristin Smart. Kristin's mom does an interview, I can't remember with who, but I remember her saying, and it was, very compelling evidence in my opinion, where she says these Cadaver dogs go all throughout the dorms at this college, and there's only one room the dogs alert, and that room is Paul Flores. And it was just devastating to see her on that interview, see her face and her heartache, realizing, look, this guy, this can't be coincidence, can it? There's something going on with this, yet they can't get anything accomplished, especially with this guy. And I thought the worst part about this is campus police allow for that dorm room, Paul Flores, to be clean and sanitized. And that's where and the dogs still hit in that dorm. They hit the garbage can. They hit a few other areas I can't remember offhand right now, after it had been cleaned up by a maid. Terrible police work by the campus police. Is it? Or is it a cover-up? I am telling you, I wish we knew more about Paul Flores and his personal, attachments at that college, who he hung out with, who's a social ring, his financial background. It's out there. I just didn't have time to do it. There's a lot of information on this case, and so it would take me at least months to get a complete story on this, but I didn't have time to do that. I have 2 days. Okay, guys, so we're moving on to the next thing. And, during this case, when it was first hot, they heard rumors from a Flores friend that they believe that Flores had actually taken Kristin's body to his parents' home, I guess, in Aurora Grande. So police acquire a warrant for this home. Some of the stuff that they found was underneath the mattress where Paul Flores was sleeping, was several articles about Kristin Smart and her disappearance. And they wonder, why would he keep those articles? Is it because he's, somehow related to the case, or, trying to keep up with it, or proud of it? Is it a trophy? And this isn't enough evidence to do anything for this case. They need either Kristin, or they need a weapon. They need something more than newspapers underneath a mattress. And I do want to mention this before I forget. On November 26th, this family did have a suit against Paul Flores. I know I keep flopping his name to Flores and Flores. Y'all excuse that part. When you're a rapid learner, you can only do so much at a time. And I cover so many cases, it's nearly impossible to keep everything perfectly. Names is my issue. But anyways, Paul Flores has a suit against him. Now, there were 4 dogs. I want to keep mentioning, guys, 4 dogs alerted different areas, but one of them was Buster of decomposition in Paul Flores' dorm. And guys, since then, the laws have changed. I wanted to let you know that when it comes to using cadaver dog in court. And that's kind of scary, because dogs are probably one of the most reliable witnesses in cases like this. So what happens next? They end up getting a warrant to head out to a house that I mentioned earlier, where it is suggested that there's a possibility that Kristin Smart's remains were put in concrete on that piece of property. Police search that property and then kind of go over a vote whether or not to dig up the yard to search it, in more detail. And it turned out they voted against that. I can't believe they did that. It's a matter of money and what else. But some of the most important things that they find is this woman who has rented the house hands an earring, turquoise earring, to the police and said she had found that in the driveway when she moved in. So at this point, Kristin Smart's been gone 6 months. They collect these earrings, and they do know that Kristin Smart owns a pair of turquoise earrings exactly like that. They weren't found in her personal effects that were left in her dorm. So definitely this would be a big piece of evidence. And the fact that there might have been blood on them, even more. I mean, this was something that was kind of exciting, that possibly they would have something to finally connect Paul Flores to the disappearance of Kristin Smart. It's evidence that investigators call damaging evidence. There had already been several mess-ups with this investigative team, from the campus police to the LE and so on. After this piece of evidence was tagged and put up, guess what happened? It disappeared. They don't have an earring. One of the most important items that they have found during their investigation is now missing. And this evidence is supposed to be lost forever. But something recently has just happened with this case that makes me wonder, is there a possibility, which we'll talk about shortly, maybe that earring turned up? Something new has turned up. We don't know what it is. But a lost piece of evidence would be more likely I would think, in my personal opinion, to show up more than something new after all this time. But that's not positive. That's just, just a thought. So years go by, and 2002, Kristin Smart is marked deceased. So Paul Flores has been seen out in public after he left college. And people are not very nice to him, and I want to share some stuff with you. Here's one of those clips.
Justice for Kristin Smart, everyone. Justice for Kristin Smart. Paul Flores, this guy murdered her. He knows he did. It's fucking very sad to see him walking around our hometown. Justice for Kristin Smart. Google it, look into it. Paul Flores, he murdered her. Okay? This is a true story, and I would never fucking do this anyway. I don't want to go to jail right now. This guy murdered Kristin Smart, and he's in your Walmart, okay? I apologize. Justice for Kristin Smart. Google it. His dad, Ruben Flores, is with him, is just as guilty. One day they will be in prison. Justice for Kristin Smart.
So it seems the evidence is compelling enough for a lot of people who have followed this for years and years, 24 years, and some of them believe that he is guilty and that he is the reason that Kristin Smart disappeared, and nobody wants him to live a comfortable life. Okay, guys, so I want to mention the fact that this story, you can check it out on Your Backyard. It's a podcast run by Chris Lambert, I believe. And I want to make sure I mention this because I do not want backlash for people who believe that I'm stealing a story. But I do this to help spread awareness, which I think the more the merrier. Guys, there is plenty of room on YouTube for everyone. And the more that cover missing person stories, the better. See, a lot of us YouTube people who cover these stories, we get backlash, right? We'll get backlash from other people that are covering the same story. And that's usually your dislikes. And you look at any video you choose, and those dislikes are coming from other channels. Not good. So I know a lot of people like to use other people's YouTube stories to catch up on their story. They don't do their own research, and and then they dislike it. How rude is that, guys? Anyways, oh well. Now, guys, I try not to listen to podcasts. I'm not into true crime, really. I do this for awareness, but I want you guys to check out Your Backyard. This guy did extensive, oh my god, crazy amount of research. He even quit his job in order to cover this story. He said that he did this because it happened close to his house, and it touched him, as that can happen. Okay, guys, good luck, Chris Lambert, and I'm sure you'll have a few more views soon. So let's get back to the story I'm covering. We have some new information coming out on this Kristin Smart case. And according to a few news outlets, the FBI contacted the family of Kristin Smart and told them to be ready. This is really going to be something you don't expect. We want to give you the support you need. It was also said that they said you might want to get away for a while. So it seems, now we're not certain. When this first came out, it was not certain whether it was real, if it was a real we heard it was the retired agent that got some information and kept in touch with the family. Then the sheriff said, no, we don't have anything. Basically kind of contradicting what we are learning. But, if you look at the articles that are out there, they're very contradicting. You don't really understand what's going on, but there's a possibility. There are investigators and retired FBI commenting on these comments. And I'm going to show you a clip shortly. So Smart's mother said on Monday, so this past Monday, that she was contacted by the FBI, who told her to be ready for a major development in this case. A spokesman for the family said Wednesday that this conversation was between the Smart family and a former FBI agent not someone actively involved with the case, which I suspected. So, like I said, I heard it was a retired FBI agent. But let's get the outlook or the take of what professionals that see these kind of cases every day are saying about this. So, one of the news journalists, Megan Healy, even is saying that, it's very conflicting statement. But here's what her grasp on it.
Looking into this, I found a lot of confusion and conflicting statements. Some people saying that the article misconstrued some of that information. But I did reach out to the author of the post as well as a spokesperson for the Smart family. Both are telling me they're sticking by that article.
So you can see that she, the mother saying she is standing by that there is new information coming out shortly. But let's take a glimpse into what people, like I mentioned, who deal with this every day are saying about what is being said right now.
So I called up a retired FBI agent with the Los Angeles office to ask him what this notification could mean.
It sounds like something extremely significant has happened or has been discovered, which would lead me to believe that they are right on the edge of some kind of a resolution. It is done in most cases involving kidnappings or even homicide cases. That contact with the family is extremely important.
And this
Healy goes on to say that it is usually the sheriff's office that is the lead on this case, but it is common that the FBI helps, and she did an interview with the current sheriff. But sadly, that interview was edited out. We didn't get to hear what he had to say, so that's okay. So we did get kind of a confirmation from a few people that there's a possibility that this family might see some type of justice really soon. So something that you don't expect could mean so many things. So you can imagine what could be going through the head of Kristin Smart's mother right now. I mean, just anything and everything. Is it the earring? Did they find it? Were they able to do DNA testing? Did they find new evidence? Did Paul Flores come forward and admit anything? Which would be nice if he was to come forward and help this family out, because he seems like there's something inside him that wants to. Perhaps maybe police found something different. No matter what, guys, the story has a lot going on with it. We just pray that this family does see the justice that they deserve. At least give them rest. So it sounds like whatever they find out, they will be able to take that rest. That's what it sounds like to me. When you say plan to get away for a while, because that means finally we have found answers for you and you can now rest easy. And that is based on if this is true information. So right now I have hit my limit, guys. I'm going to try to push it further. I want to play a few photos at the end of this video of Kristin Smart. Alright, guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out Your Own Backyard, the podcast by Chris Lambert, a man that gave up everything to follow this case. He interviewed multiple people. He knows a lot more than I can put in here, and it might take you weeks to go through it all. Blessings to the family, and guys, I love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, and we'll see you soon.